All right, so today we'll be talking about how to study for sociology and how you can use the Learning Center to do this. My name is Diana Santiago and I'm a tutor.
Hi, my name is Juanita Tapia Brewer, and I'm an academic coach. I'm just going to give a little overview of the Learning Center. The Learning Center is a service offered at Portland State, and there is a few vital services that are offered there, which is tutoring, and now it's all online tutoring. There's also these Roads to Success presentations, which offer some more in-depth information about different study strategies and motivation and things like that. There's also a college success course, and we offer academic coaching. The objectives of today's presentation is, by the end of this workshop, you should be able to understand the importance of the study cycle in relation to learning, identify specific active learning strategies applicable to your specific area of studies, feel prepared to apply these strategies to your own coursework.
The study cycle. So this is really important and the study may look differently for everyone, but the study cycle focuses on 5 different steps: preview, attend, review, study, and assess. Preview can be looked at by pre-reading material before your class, maybe that's skimming a chapter, reviewing summaries and chapter objectives, writing down questions you want answered in class. An important one is check your syllabus to see what material will be covered that week in class. Why is this important? It'll be important because you'll be much better prepared to learn new concepts when they come up if you have already been introduced to them beforehand.
And what does this look like for sociology? Look through the PowerPoint notes before class, have an idea of what will be taught during class, look at the syllabus, review vocabulary, look ahead at the coming material in the unit, jot down questions you want answered in class, concepts you may not be understanding very well. And the first step of the study cycle, or the second step of the study cycle, is to attend. So go to class, ask questions, participate in discussions and activities. And some remote learning tips are to turn on your camera and choose speaker view to stay engaged. Use the chat or raise hand function for questions. And why this is important? It can be hard to stay engaged over Zoom, but actively engaging with the material being discussed will help with understanding and retaining the material.
So how will this look like during a sociology class? Attend class with course materials needed for the day, such as having the D2L page open for the class or textbook reading material on hand. The next step is review. Try to review the material within the 24 hours of the class lecture. Reread and rework your notes if necessary. So whatever works best for you, how you can learn better from that. Identify any gaps in comprehension. What did you learn? What didn't you learn? What are the questions that you have? Make note of any lingering questions, and then consider your learning style when choosing a note-taking system that will work for you. This is important because studies show that reviewing notes within a few hours after classes considerably increases retention and understanding.
And this is a graph kind of explaining that. Within the first day that you learn, you are retaining the information 100%. But as the days go by 7 days, you will have pretty much lost all of that information. So it's important to review every few days just to keep that up. And knowing your learning style can be important as well for retaining information. So here are 4 different learning styles. The first one is visual graphic, where drawing out concepts using a whiteboard, synthesizing info into symbols and images may work better for you. And visual text is utilizing lists, write ideas and concepts, create and answer test questions. And auditory learners, it can be more helpful to walk through the material, give mini lectures, consider not taking notes so you can actually listen.
And kinesthetic learning is where you use your senses, you make it personal, and you are more physically active while learning.
Another form is note-taking strategies, and there's three types, for those who prefer the visual text, um, doing the Cornell, which is very popular in high school, where you have your key themes on the left side, your notes on the right, and at the end of each page, you do a summary. And then there's ones that the typical where you have a theme or a key concept and then notes about that, and then bullet point that. And for the visual graphic learners, there's the mind mapping guide. Personally, I'm a visual graphic learner, so I would be more likely to use this kind of guide where you're able to see the key themes and see how they interact with one another. And if you're creative, you can use different colors, but always having like a central idea or concept of the course in the middle. So what would this look like for sociology? Making note cards of class concept based on class notes. A very popular resource is Quizlet. I know that a lot of college students use it, and in Quizlet, you can make little note cards, quizzes, review guides. There's also writing out questions you are struggling with and try and find them within your own notes, so answering your own questions. And then memorize key concepts and sociologists. For example, something that our sociologists we will be talking about throughout your sociology curriculum will be Marx, Weber, Durkheim. And another example of a way of learning is Kahoot. So I don't know how many of you know about this, but essentially it's like a little quiz online, but it's really fun. You could choose, like, let's say you want to do 6 other group classmates, and you can make your own Kahoot. You have to make your own. You have to sign up, or you can play as a guest. But to make your own Kahoot quiz, you have to sign up. It's really easy. Then you can ask yourself. You can make questions like, for example, which one is not part of the paradigms that dominate the sociological theory. There's conflict theory, interaction theory, social theory, functional theory. So in this case, what students will do is they will be provided with those 4 answers and they will choose what they think is a correct answer. And let's say social theory obviously is the wrong one here. So then whoever answers that the quickest will get more points. And it's just a fun way to make it competitive, but also learning the themes and concepts throughout the course. And this is another different type of learning.
The next step is study. Try to make any passive strategies into active ones. Repetition is key. Take practice tests, as mentioned, like Kahoot. Use provided study guides or make your own. Don't study alone as well, if you can. Form study groups over Zoom with classmates. Check in with the professor during office hours at least once a term. And this is important because exams are a lot of the time focused on output. So it's important to practice processing information that way. Working with others can also help to clear up confusion, not to mention most people are looking for more ways to connect with each other right now. Active study strategies. So passive strategies are focused on input, which is reading, listening to a lecture, watching a video. But active strategies are focused on output, anything that allows you to produce content. And that would be taking a practice test, creating note cards, and studying with a friend or tutor.
So what would this look like for sociology? A tip for active studying for sociology specifically is finding a video on a theory and taking notes on anything that stands out or you find important to remember. After, put these key points onto note cards to use as a study activity. The final step is assess. Periodically check in with yourself. What's working? What's not? What can be improved? What can be changed? Looking over missed questions and test quizzes, and then organize your study time. Reflect on your system for self-management. Consider structuring study sessions. How have you been managing your time? Has it been helpful? Why is this important? By checking in with ourselves, we are able to recognize which areas are strengths and which are growth areas. Organizing your time can help with this by reducing stress and keeping you on track for achieving your goals.
And this is a format for structuring a study session. The first step would be to set a goal, and that could take 1 to 2 minutes. And this is a time where you decide what you want to accomplish in the study session, such as how many chapters and pages, how many problems you want to work on. And the next step is to study with focus, and that could be for 30 to 50 minutes. And it's where you interact with the material in active ways. The third step, which is an important step, is 10 to 15 minutes of rewarding yourself. Take a break, take a walk, eat a snack, grab a coffee, just step away from the computer for a little bit. And the fourth step is to review. And that can be about 5 minutes. And it's when you go over what you just studied and return to your goal. Did you accomplish your goal? Why or why not? And what does this look like for sociology? Study with intention. What concepts are you currently learning about? Track what you feel confident on after studying. Take it off your Quizlet list. Assess whether the study methods you are utilizing are effective. Does Quizlet help? Note cards, etc. And reference your quizzes/exams to determine what you can improve. Don't be afraid to reach out to the professor or TA.
So to recap everything we've talked about and focusing on the study cycle, of course, we just went over the 5 steps, but the preview, as we talked about, is what you're trying to learn before going to class, looking at the syllabus, looking at what you will be learning. Then there's attending class. How are you participating? How are you actively learning in class? Then the third step is reviewing what you've learned in the previous class within a certain amount of hours so you're able to retain the information. The fourth step is study. Studying can be different forms. We talked about note strategy taking, Quizlet, Kahoot, and then the fifth step is assess. Is what you're doing working out? Is your study cycle successful? How can I learn better? What needs to change? If you want more support, meet with an academic coach or tutor. Get help with self-management, study strategies, motivation, and a lot more. Academic coaching appointments can be done through our website. And if you click the link, you're able to read the coach's bios, schedule using their individual, you can book me links, and that will also be found there. And then you can also schedule tutoring appointments. This will primarily be done through by downloading the Penji app. It's really easy to download. You can download it through the App Store or Google Play. And then the second thing is you'll be able to view your tutor's live availability and schedule through this app. To learn more about the Learning Center, you can follow this link at the bottom.